Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lisa with Lisa Capen Quilts, and I have a little bit of a follow-up method on how to make these quilted table toppers. Now this week I put out a video on how I made this painted, ooh it's purple, painted quilted table topper. Isn't that so pretty? It all doesn't fit in the camera, so I have to move it around like that. If you didn't see this video, it is listed on my channel. You can go and watch that. It is a lot of fun. I bring you through the progression of how I made this quilted table topper. Let me just tell you, as much as I love painting and I love quilting, this was a time-consuming project. And in that video, I mentioned there's other ways to make this, including applique, right? This pattern comes with tracing templates so that you can cut out all of these pieces with fabric and fusibles like heat and bond or freezer paper. It also came with the SVG cutting file so that you could really speed up the process of cutting out all of your applique if you have a cutting machine. But I did not demonstrate that in this video. I really focused on painting and filling in with the quilting, right? So in this video, I wanted to show you a really quick and fast way to make a table topper. You could apply this method with this particular pattern. The reason I'm making this video today is because in April, I'm releasing a pattern to my Patreon members, and they're getting the Daisy Hexi table topper. It's going to be an exclusive pattern that is for Patreon. But I was making that table topper today. Yes, I made it from very start to finish today. That's how quick it was. And I made this video. So this way is so much faster, and I wanted to share it with you because if you wanted to make this one in this new different way, you would save so much time. So let me just stop with all the chitter chatter. Sometimes with my art quilts, I like to top them with tulle. So I don't know if you remember seeing this video quite some time ago. I was making some smaller mosaic raw edge applique art quilts. This is the angel mosaic. Isn't she so pretty? So I did this with heat and bond light, cut out all of these pieces. They're all individual pieces, topped it with tulle, and did some quilting. The awesome thing about layering your project with tulle is you can do very minimal quilting, and the tulle holds down the edges of your pieces. So while I did go through and quilt individually around all these pieces just to give some really cool texture with this particular piece, the garden archway, do you remember this quilt? One of the ways to finish this quilt is I topped it with tulle and did a very simple cross hatching. So I did not quilt each individual piece down. This is all raw edge applique with freezer paper on this quilt, I think it was. I just did a cross hatching, and that quilting is going to hold that tulle in place and keep down all of the raw edges of my applique. When you're looking at it spot on, straight on, you don't even see the tulle. But this particular tulle is like a gold color, so when the light shines on it, it does have a little bit of a gold sheen to it, which is kind of really pretty. There's all different colors of tulle that you can use. And so that's one of the reasons why it's so versatile. And I love that it almost completely disappears and saves so much time. So today I made the pattern that I'm giving to my Patreon members. Look, isn't this so pretty? Oh my goodness. I don't know which one is my favorite, the purple one that's painted or the applique one that I cross-hatched. I laid some tulle on top of this one. And again, did the simple cross-hatching, and all of these pieces, which are individual pieces, do not have to be stitched down. Now you could. Lots of people like to stitch down applique, right? You could do that, and it would be so pretty too, but this saves so much time, and I wanted to share it with you. Let's see. For this one, because this one also comes with an SVG file, I used my brother's Scan and Cut. So yeah, I cut out all of my materials. I cut out all of these applique pieces. I layered it with tulle, did my binding and my quilting. It's all done. And I've only spent the afternoon doing this project. Now granted, I might be a little bit faster. But yeah, you could easily knock this one out a lot faster than the way that I did the purple one, right? So in today's video, I'm just going to walk you through, again, a progression step by step. Me cutting out these pieces with my scan and cut, and then layering it with tulle and doing the cross hatching. So I hope this gives you a really great idea. Let's get started. So just like with my purple quilt, I cut out the top and the batting using the template that came with the pattern to give me my hexi shape. And I gave myself an extra inch with my backing all the way around to use as my binding. And then I got started cutting out all of my applique pieces. I grouped them together in the Canvas Brother workspace. So I cut all of the 4 large flowers all out at one time from one piece of fabric. Look at all of those pieces. So these are all of the petals for the 4 large daisies. I think it took the machine 4 minutes to cut all of this out on the slowest cutting speed setting. 4 minutes. All of these pieces, it would have taken me quite a bit of time to cut them all out individually. And then I went back to the Brother Canvas workspace and I cut out the 4 medium-sized flowers from this blue fabric. I think that took 3 minutes. And then I went back and I grouped all of the smallest daisies together and cut them out of this blue and white fabric just like this. Now, if you've not seen how to transfer your images, I do have videos on my channel that show you how to use the Brother Canvas workspace and send it over to the cutting machine. Fairly quick and easy to do. Here's all of the centers of my flowers I cut out of the same yellow fabric. And then I sent all of the leaves, I grouped all of the leaves together and I cut them all out of the same fabric. Actually, this is the same fabric I used as my backing and my binding. Words are hard today. So there's all of my leaves. So yeah, I would say, let's see, the time in moving and getting fabric ready to cut, it took me about an hour to cut out all of my applique pieces. Now that we have all of these pieces cut and ready to go, we're ready to fuse them onto our background. So I'm just going to use the template that comes with the pattern to help me lay out my pieces. The large daisy gets 2 leaves. The medium-sized daisy gets 1 leaf. And the smaller daisy also gets 2 leaves. And I like to lay the 3 flowers out just like this before I start fusing anything down. Then I just work myself right around, laying down all of the pieces, and this is what she looks like when all of the pieces are fused into place. So here's my tulle, y'all. This is a gold colored tulle that I picked up from the tulle section over at Joann Fabrics. I've cut myself a piece that's bigger than the hexagon shape. I'm going to lay it nice and flat. And initially, I'm going to just apply a little bit of Elmer's clear glue stick to my hexi shape and just press that tulle right into place. That's going to temporarily baste it. Then I'm going to use some straight pins just to baste all of the layers and keep that tulle really well in place. Once she's nice and basted and I'm comfortable that the tulle's not going to shift anywhere, we can go around the perimeter of the hexagon shape and trim away with a pair of scissors right to the edge and get rid of the extra tulle. Now that the tulle's been trimmed away, just like with the purple quilt, I'm going to use the extra 1 inch of my backing, fold that in half, glue stick it, finger press it, and then use this as my binding. So it's folded in half right to the raw edge of the quilt. Add a little bit more glue and then fold that right over top of my quilt. That gives you a quick little pretty binding. Because with this quilt, I'm using the Tulle, which is kind of heat sensitive. I'm going to just use these binding clips to hold that binding in place and patiently, that's hard for me, patiently wait for that glue to dry. And I just work myself right from side to side to side, repeating these steps until all of the binding has been glued over onto the quilt. Once you have all of your binding glued over to the front of the quilt, this is what she looks like. Look at all of those binding clips. Now I have to wait for the glue to dry, and once it's dry, we'll bring it over to the sewing machine. Here at the sewing machine, the very first thing I'll do is stitch down that binding all the way around, and now I have to remove all of those binding clips that was holding that binding in place. Ordinarily, I would have dried the glue with my binding with a good hot iron. I do think that Tulle is quite sensitive to heat, and I don't want to take a chance. So being patient and letting the glue dry is probably the best. Once your binding is stitched down, now we can start the quilting. So you could do all kinds of just straight line quilting. You could even do a meandering over this entire project, which would be so pretty as well. For this one, I'm going to do some cross hatching. To keep my lines nice and straight, I just use some painter's tape, tape it down, and bring it over to the sewing machine where I'll be doing a straight stitch right along the side of the tape. So from edge to edge, I just run the needle right along the edge of the tape, doing a back stitch when I start and stop. That'll lock the quilting in. And then when I'm done, I just lift up the tape and move it over, line it up, and stitch the next line. And I'll tell you, this goes by pretty quickly. But the finished result of a cross hatching is gorgeous. I've always been a huge fan of cross hatch quilting. So now that I have all the lines going in one direction, now I can start doing the lines in the opposite direction. And we just follow the same steps. Stitch along the side of the tape, lift the tape and move it over, line it up with your previously quilted line, and continue until you get the whole table topper quilted. So you can definitely see how this, doing a crosshatch quilting, can definitely save you so much time versus sewing down each one of these individual pieces. I hope this gives you some really great ideas on fast ways to finish up your applique projects. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Isn't this so pretty? That cross hatching, it's gorgeous. I love it so much. So thank you to all of my Patreons. I hope you enjoyed the Daisy Hexi Table Topper quilt pattern. It will be listed on Patreon April the 1st. Thank y'all so much. I can't wait to spend some more time with you. Check out my channel for live videos and quilting, painting tutorials. I'll see y'all all really soon. Bye, everybody.